Let me ask you something uncomfortable. Look at your bank account right now. If you lost your primary source of income tomorrow, how many months could you survive without borrowing a single rupee, dollar, or euro? If the honest answer is less than 6 months, you are standing on thin ice. And the year 2026 is carrying a heavy hammer. Costs are rising faster than salaries. Investments are wobbling. The old playbook of just working hard and saving whatever is left is dead. It's not coming back. But there is a way out. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's an ancient philosophy wrapped in a modern financial strategy. I call it the S.T.O.I.C, money method. Most people don't realize this, but the biggest financial mistake you can make after the age of 40 is drifting. You drift through your career, drift through your spending, and hope that somehow retirement will take care of itself. I see it every day. Smart people, educated people, who wake up at 55 and suddenly feel a cold wave of fear. They look at their pension statement or their savings account, and they realize they have run out of time. The market doesn't care how hard you worked. The economy doesn't care that you are a good person. Money is a cold, logical system. To survive a chaotic year like 2026, you need to stop letting your emotions drive your wallet and start applying a system that has worked for thousands of years. The first rule of the S.T.O.I.C method is to see the beast clearly. In ancient philosophy, the Stoics practiced something called negative visualization. They didn't just hope for the best. They vividly imagined the worst-case scenario. Let me be honest. Most financial advice tells you to be positive. But blind positivity is why people drown in debt. Here's the practical reality. You need to define your financial rock bottom. Imagine a global recession hits your industry in the next 3 months. Imagine your salary is cut by 20%. You might think, well, that is just a scary thought. But a Stoic uses that fear as a tool. Take a real-life example of a man named Raj, a senior manager I once advised. He was making great money but spending nearly all of it because he assumed the promotions would never stop. I asked him to physically write down what his life would look like if he had to take a junior position for half the pay. The mistake he was making was lifestyle anchoring, where he spent based on his highest ever income, not his sustainable one. The solution was to immediately calculate his expenses as if that pay cut had already happened. He didn't have to sell his house, but he drastically cut the luxury subscriptions and the expensive weekend bar tabs. He saw the beast of potential poverty clearly, and it changed his spending habits overnight. The second rule is to track the silence. This brings us to the T in S.T.O.I.C. A Stoic values stillness and reflection. In money terms, this means tracking the silent killers in your budget. Here's a common scenario. You check your bank balance, and you think you know where your money goes. Rent, electricity, food, maybe a car payment. But there is a silent drain. The subscription you forgot about. The insurance premium for a policy you don't need. The digital payments that are so small, you don't even think about them. The mistake people commonly make is auditing their big expenses and ignoring the small silent leaks. Let me give you a real-life example. A couple, both in their mid-40s, came to me saying they couldn't save. They had good jobs. We sat down in silence and printed 12 months of bank statements. No judgment, just math. We found they were spending nearly $300 a month on convenience fees. Delivery apps, express shipping, idle ATM charges at premium machines. $300? They were working hard to make money and then silently handing it to corporations for the privilege of being slightly lazier. The practical solution is brutal, but simple. Once a quarter, you must take a silence hour. No phone, no TV, just you, a highlighter, and your bank statements. You highlight every single transaction that didn't actively improve your life. Those highlights are the holes in your financial boat. Patch them. The third rule is to own your insecurity. That's the O. The Stoics teach us that security comes from within, not from the opinions of others. But modern finance preaches the opposite. We are conditioned to look rich to our neighbors or on social media. You know the scenario. Your friend buys a new electric car, so your perfectly functional 5-year-old car suddenly feels embarrassing. The neighbor renovates their kitchen, So your wife starts pushing for a loan to do the same, even though your current kitchen works fine. The common mistake is status spending, buying things you don't need to impress people you don't even like. Let me be direct with you. If you are over 35 and still buying expensive watches or a luxury car badge just for the logo, you are building someone else's dream, the car dealer's dream, not your own financial freedom. The solution is to define what enough means to you. A highly successful entrepreneur I know drives a very modest, safe car. He is a multi-millionaire. Someone asked him once why he didn't buy a supercar. He said, "I don't want to be looked at. I own my anonymity." That is Stoic power. He owns his insecurity about aging or status by realizing that true power is a full investment account, not a loud engine. When you stop trying to prove your wealth, you actually start building it. The fourth rule is to insulate your soul. This is the I. The Stoics were famous for insulating their inner peace from external chaos. In 2026, the external noise is deafening. Every YouTube video, every news channel, and every social media post is screaming at you to buy this crypto, short that stock, or panic about inflation. The big mistake investors make at this age is reacting. They let the headlines dictate their portfolio. Imagine a scenario where the stock market has a very bad week. A sudden 2% dip happens on a Monday. Your phone pings, your stomach knots. You think, "I can't lose what I've spent 20 years building." So you sell. That is the exact moment the big players buy. The reality check is this: volatility is a fee, not a fine. The practical solution is to build a financial insulation layer. This means having a cash buffer that is separate from your long-term investments. If you have at least 1 year of living expenses sitting in a safe, liquid account, then a market crash is just a news headline, not a life crisis. This cash cushion is the Stoic shield. It allows your logical brain to stay in control when the rest of the world is driven by panic. Here is the harsh truth about money that people often ignore. Nobody is coming to save you. The government won't save you. Your family might not be able to save you. The harsh reality is that if you don't master your fear and greed today, the economy of 2026 will eat your savings with the quiet teeth of inflation and market swings. You cannot print your way to safety. You have to build the fortress yourself. So, here are your immediate action steps. First, right-click on your banking app right now and set a specific daily transfer limit that makes it inconvenient to impulse buy. Second, text your partner or a trusted friend and schedule that silence hour with your statements for this coming Saturday. No excuses. Third, before you buy anything over $100 this week, ask yourself this Stoic question: is this for my freedom or for my ego? If it's for ego, put the wallet down. If this way of thinking resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Tell me one silent expense you know you need to cut but have been avoiding. I read every comment, and it keeps us accountable. And if you want to stop being a victim of the economy and start controlling your destiny, make sure you subscribe. We're building a community of silent, steady wealth builders here. I'll see you in the next one. Wait. Before this video ends, there is something very important I need to say. Let me be honest with you. I almost didn't include this part in the script, but then I thought, what kind of advisor would I be if I sent you out into the world without this final piece? You see, so far we have talked about logic. We talked about seeing the beast, tracking the silence, owning your insecurity, and insulating your soul. These are the mechanics of the S.T.O.I.C method. They work. But there is a quiet danger lurking inside them. And if you do not understand this danger, you might still fail. The danger is loneliness. Most people don't realize this, but when you start mastering your money, you naturally start moving away from the crowd. Your friends will still be going out 4 nights a week. Your brother-in-law will still buy a new SUV every 3 years. Your colleagues will still gossip about crypto pumps and stock tips. And you will be the one sitting quietly, saying no to things you can afford but do not need. That is painful. You will feel left out. You will occasionally feel boring. And in those weak moments, your brain will whisper to you, just this once, spend the money. You deserve to feel normal again. This is where most people break. Not because the system didn't work, but because they could not handle the social isolation of being financially disciplined. The ancient Stoics knew this. They warned us that the path of wisdom is often a lonely path. The crowd lives in constant desire and constant fear. When you step out of the crowd will try to pull you back. Sometimes with direct words like, "Come on, don't be so cheap." And sometimes with a quiet feeling of being the odd one out at the restaurant table. So what is the solution? The solution is to find your small circle. You do not need 20 friends. You need 2 or 3 people who understand the game you are playing. Maybe it's your partner, if they are on board. Maybe it's one colleague who also talks about financial independence quietly during coffee breaks. Maybe it's an online community, like the one we are building here on this channel. But you need someone to remind you that delayed gratification is not deprivation. It is the ultimate form of self-respect. Let me share a quick story. There was a man named Marcus, named after the great Stoic emperor, funnily enough. Marcus worked in a factory, not a glamorous job. For 15 years, he lived well below his means. His co-workers laughed at his old car. His relatives thought he was just stingy. Marcus told me that on some nights, he would sit in his small apartment and genuinely wonder if he was wasting his life. Fast forward to age 52. The factory announced major layoffs. Panic spread through the workforce. Grown men were crying in the parking lot, worried about losing their homes. But Marcus, the quiet one, simply walked into the manager's office and gave his notice. He wasn't being laid off. He was quitting on his own terms. Why? Because he had built a nest egg so solid, so insulated, that employment had become optional. He told me, and I will never forget this, all those years of feeling left out were the price I paid for this single moment of freedom, and it was the cheapest price I have ever paid. That is what I want for you. Not a fancy car, not a big watch, but a moment, maybe 5, maybe 10 years from now, when you realize you have bought back your own life. That is the true reward of the S.T.O.I.C money method. So here is your final homework. It is not about numbers. It is not about cutting expenses. Tonight or tomorrow morning, sit down and ask yourself this one question. Write it down if you can. The question is, what specific freedom am I buying with this discipline? Not a vague answer like peace of mind. Get specific. I am buying the ability to take 3 months off work when my grandchild is born. Or I am buying the power to leave a toxic job even if I don't have another one lined up. Or I am buying the ability to look at my child and say, yes, university is covered. Choose any school you want. When you connect your daily sacrifice to a concrete emotional vision, discipline stops feeling like punishment. It starts feeling like the most powerful choice you have ever made. I want you to write that sentence down and keep it in your wallet, right behind your credit card. So every time you pull out that card to buy something, you see the real price you are paying. Thank you for staying until the end. The fact that you are still here tells me you are serious, and that makes me genuinely hopeful for your future. Please do leave a comment below with the first letter of that freedom sentence, if you feel comfortable. Just the first letter. Let's see how many of us are quietly building our fortresses together. Now, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button and click the bell, because in the next video, we are going to discuss something very few people talk about. We are going to talk about the hidden financial traps inside supposedly happy marriages and how to protect a lifetime of wealth from quiet emotional decisions. You will not want to miss it. Until then, stay stoic, stay steady, and control what you can control. I will see you very soon.